Greetings on this day of Saturday. My name is Magick La Croix. Welcome to another edition of Magick La Croix Speaks. And I got a special guest today. Her name is Mrs. Scientific. Would you like to introduce yourself, ma'am?
Sure. Hi, I'm Mrs. Scientific. I am uh, self-proclaimed tarot. I am a believer in all things spirit, and that's it. I'm here for all your questions.
Okay, all right. So let's start out with something simple. And where are you from?
I'm from St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I grew up on St. Thomas.
Okay. And you said something about the tarot. Is there anything else that's included in your practice?
I do crystal work. I am a Reiki master, a crystal Reiki master, but I choose not to practice on purpose. I'm still kind of honing my craft with Reiki, but I incorporate to all of my decision making. I do run a tarot business outside of my regular job, reading tarot now since I was 18.
Okay. And how long you been practicing?
Since I was 18.
Oh,
I
since you were 18.
yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up Catholic, and I have always kind of leaned towards tarot. I got my actual start with tarot from someone who has eventually mentored me. But in craft and in the occult, I started with the Ouija board when I was 18.
Oh, wow. The Ouija board. That's a lot of people have a lot of fear when they hear that word, the Ouija board. Can you tell us and elaborate more on the Ouija board?
So, well, first off, I'll tell you I'm an Aries. I'm an Aries sun, Aries moon. I'm an Aries Venus, Aries Chiron. Everything about me is Aries. I feel like even in my family, I'm the youngest of six siblings. So I've always kind of been out on my own. My father passed when I was 5 years old. So I have not, I can't say that I had a lot of guidance, but we were very church, very religious people. I started with the interest in the occult in first grieving my dad and not understanding why we were kind of shunned from attending his burial services because my mom at that time felt like it would have scared us. And what she actually did was she pushed me further into stairs by making that decision for me. So when I was 18, I purchased a board at a local store, and I brought it to school. We had a lot of free periods and study periods. I brought it to school, and I had kind of lured a couple of my friends to play with me. And one by one, it's a novelty for them. And one by one, people got scared because the board was becoming very active. I'm not afraid of anything, and nothing in spirit. I'm living in the things that humans do outside of the dead or the spirit world. So I took the board home and I determined that maybe I should just play with it by myself. And in doing that, I know for a fact I opened a lot of portals when I did. Um, I stopped using the board when I became pregnant with my first child. My mom gave me a lot of guilt. She felt like I was going to be punished for playing with things with the occult, and so I threw the board away. But then I decided I wanted to go back to it, so I made my own board, and that board that I crafted myself worked better than store bought board. Um, One of the bigger things that happened for me with using the Ouija board was a relative of mine hung himself, and with no rhyme or reason. He came home from the military, and no one had a clue that this he was in a bad place mentally. And I used the board to contact him to get message to his mother. And everything in spirit, the momentum grew around me and with this work using the board. But again, pregnant, and I wanted to kind of cut myself back away from those things because spirit was moving so fast in my life. I was getting a lot of answers, a lot of information. And I was kind of being known for being, that the witchy girl or the voodoo girl. But my mother played a big role in me kind of separating myself from it. But my gifts continued. grow. I went to a manicurist appointment, and the lady that was going to do my nails, she held my hand, flipped my palms over, and she said, at some point, as I grew in spirit, I would realize what my truth really was. And I thought, oh, she's just another one of those weird people. But she read me that day, and to this day, very firmly connected. And she's my mentor. She taught me tarot. She taught me candle magic. She taught me how to rely on spirit, how to talk to spirit. And I have to tell you, I'm 45 now, and I am still very much in this life. I did have a gap where I became a licensed preacher here in the state of Maryland, and I did for a couple of years, but organized religion is not for me. I know that from the things that I've seen, the things that I have been exposed to in church, I have no desire ever to return to that life. I, Spirit uses me, my Creator uses me in this way, and I've touched more people using divination and bringing people to an understanding of, spirit and how to trust themselves, intuition, learning who your creator is, and trusting your own power, your own magic, than I did in that organized realm. That's where I'm at now.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So, if someone was to get interested in the Ouija board, would you encourage, or because a lot of information goes around that you can invite any old spirit
Yes.
into your space by using a Ouija board. So, what advice would you give someone who actually wanted to get into
I
Ouija
would
board
discourage.
practice?
I would thoroughly discourage it because a lot of it's sold in the children's section. First off, the Ouija board is not a toy. It is a tool for divination. I feel like it is for mature practitioners. I feel like it's a crime that it is sold. It's marketed to children. Now they have a pink. Have you seen the pink Ouija boards? They have the pink planchette. It's very inviting. It's cute, but it's not. It is just a portal that you open, and you have no idea what you are inviting in. And a lot of the energy, the spirits that come to the board, they're very low level. They're low frequency energies, and it is very dangerous. I'm telling you, for 10 years after putting the board away, haunted I was for 10 years, mentally tortured from two specific spirits that came through. One, I know she's still with me, but the other, I had to have like exorcisms and prayers and a lot of intervention to get rid of that lower level. So I would discourage it unless you have a team around you. You know how to open and how to call your corners and how to, you know, Florida water is something that I absolutely believe in, and people don't know about the basics of protection and grounding before opening and doing this type of work. So yeah, it's a no for me.
Okay. Okay, that's a great answer. You said something about the basics. How important do you think learning the basic is for anyone coming into learning how to practice magic?
It would be, I compare going into magic as going into someone's hospital room and there's a sign outside their door that says they have MRSA or they have staph. You need to go in fully covered, as though every person you encounter in spirit work has something that you can catch. And I say that not lightly. You need to be so grounded, so protected. If you are feeling a bout of depression coming on, if you feel like you're catching a cold, these are not times that you want to do work for other people or yourself. You're open, your entire being is open, and you can be under attack without you even seeing it coming. So, definitely grounding, protection, prayer, Florida water.
Okay. Great answer. Great answer. So that leads to my next question, which is how do you feel about the craft in general becoming so trendy right now?
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues going on with this trend. Pinterest, Google, especially YouTube, people are attracted to the Hollywood version of this work, and that's not how this works at all. you know, unless you are comfortable taking a stroll through the graveyard to harvest or just to go in and just to become realigned or to reset with spirit, if you're not comfortable going to the cemetery by yourself at midnight on a specific time frame, a specific moon, you don't have no business doing this. And I say that as nicely as I can. This work is not Pinterest. This is not. I found a cute meme with Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz, and she has somebody has a no. That's this work is very serious, and everybody, even people that I have kind of mentored, have broken off. I'm holding my witch class. I'm doing their how you haven't even. Oh, I'm teaching tarot. You haven't even studied the cards. You don't know the symbolism of the cards. What are you teaching people? There's a danger in frauding. There's danger in wanting to be in front of in acting like you know something that you really don't, and then you're dragging people in with you. I've had to sever a lot of connections with a lot of
Okay.
really nice people for doing just that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Everybody that I have interviewed thus far pretty much gives just about the same answer to that question. So that's an interesting deck that you just showed. Which deck is that?
This is right away. This is my go-to. This is not the deck that I learned off of. Um, I learned off of the Spanish playing cards. So if you go to any bodega or any botanica and you just see an older woman at the table, she's usually in the corner by herself. $10, you get a quick read. Those are the cards they use. They're very old, the traditional cards. So I learned off of those, and then once I really wanted to get into the basics of tarot, the meat of tarot, it was suggested to me that I jump into Rider Waite. And every day is learning. I write on my cards. All of my decks, I usually write on them because with every person that you read, there's more information. You're constantly downloading and you're constantly getting more. So I write on everything.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Great answer. Great answer. So I gotta ask, what is that behind you?
Where? Right behind me?
The statues.
This is Bastet, and this is Anubis.
Okay.
Ganesh and his mother Lakshmi right behind me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, um, how many active systems do you use as far as your practice is concerned?
I so there's quite a few. I still read my Psalms. I'm very big on Psalms. I'm very big on the powers of the Psalms. So
That book.
Bible is a book of magic.
That book. That is. I always suggest that book for as a starting point.
Absolutely. So I use the Bible. Um, I my house is full of rosaries. I'm a collector of artifacts. I have about 70 rosaries that I everywhere I go I collect rosaries. So I'm not Catholic based anymore, but I still carry forth some things from being Catholic. Prayer cards, prayer medals. I do a lot of magic with the saints, which led me into my interest in Santeria as
Okay.
well as Ifa. So with learning the correlation or the duality of a saint. So Saint Jude, I know now is in Hindu. Saint Jude is their version of Lord Ganesha. And then we have Elegua. So everything, it's a melting pot for me. I don't call myself, a Santeria high priestess, or I don't call myself anything. I'm just Mrs. Scientific, and I'm here to heal, I'm here to serve, and I'm here to teach and to learn in my process. So I do that. I do feel a pull. I feel a calling into IFA. I've had many dreams with IFA. I've had readings done on me that confirm this, but I do everything. I do hoodoo. I do paper in my shoe magic. I do candle magic. I do freezer work. Everything. Yeah.
So it's very interesting. If someone, okay, someone who's actually trying to start practicing, do you suggest that they learn all of those, or is that a path that actually happens as you further along your path?
I suggest to everyone who they'll ask, how did you get started? I want to do what you did. You can't do what I did because my life took a turn in different ways. I had different detours. I had different um, chaotic things or different really beautiful situations in my life that pushed me and pulled me into specific ways. You have to look at your own life and think and listen. What has spirit been showing me all of my life? From the time I was 6, I have been drawn to the Wizard of Oz. And I always felt, oh, well, what's my pull to the wizard? Do I think I'm Dorothy? I know who I am. I'm Glinda the Good Witch in this story because I don't harm. I come to remind people of who they are, and I come to show them, where your tools are and how to do things. But Wizard of Oz was a big deal for me when I was little. So Charlotte's Web, just everything mystical or magical has pushed me in different ways. And my pain has led me to finding peace along this path. So I suggest to people, what have you been hearing all of your life? What have you been watching? What have you been attracted to? Where have you been led to go? Have you been led to go to the ocean? Then we could talk about the Orisha of the ocean, or have you been led to the rivers? So it's everybody's path. I just want people to find their own way, not allow somebody to box them or to tell them, well, this is who you are. Because if somebody told me 2 years ago that I would be serving Egyptian deities, I would have laughed. But here I am going to Marshall's looking for the right statue to bring them home to do specific ritual to open their mouths so they can connect and talk to me. So everyday changes for Mrs. Scientific. It's
Okay.
fast.
Okay. We seem to have a similar background. You mentioned Catholicism. I grew up Catholic, so the deprogramming from that took me quite a while because the programming from Catholicism is so deep. Did it take you a long time to deprogram from that way of thinking?
What turned me off from them was divorce, and in the Catholic faith, and especially back home, they're very, very old school, very traditional. I was banned from accepting or from participating in having communion because I was a divorced woman. So I'm in the line thinking I'm going to have communion, and the deacon at the time, he put his arm up and he was like, "Oh, nah, go sit down." And I was so offended. I called my mother, and my mother, she served in church all her life. My brothers were altar boys, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck was that?" You didn't. And she was like, Teresa, you're divorced. You cannot. And I said, so I'm not allowed to partake in this ritual. Oh, okay. So how about I don't go back? Well, you can't do that. Watch. So from there, I started wanting to go towards the Baptist faith, and then I did non-denomination, and I never found my way. But when I started really, really realizing in Black church, we have the slaying in the spirit, and we have the casting out of the demons and the speaking in tongues. I was like, oh yeah, I'm down for this. I'm down for
Okay.
this. So that attracted me there. But deprogramming, it only took one person to fuck me over, basically.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a question in the chat room. Um, does seeing number sequences mean something big is going to happen?
My understanding with the numbers, and I had a connection with a woman who about a year ago, she told me she was from Syria, and we had a lot of planetary and Orion's belt conference, and she shared something with me. She said, when we see these frequencies and numbers, these are reminders from spirit that one, you're being contacted from spirit, your star system is calling you, and that is a frequency you're vibing at right now, and you need to go to a higher frequency. Meaning, if you're seeing 222, I saw in the beginning of my awakening, I would wake up every morning at 3:33 a.m. It was ridiculous. I was sick of it, but I'm like, this is some serious shit right here. Who's got my voodoo doll? Because it's 333 right now. So that happened for some months. But she told me, she said, these are the numbers that you see because that's the numbers that your spirit needs to eat at, higher than that. She said, go to YouTube and you're going to find like the binaural beats or
Mm-hmm.
the hertz frequency sounds. So if I'm saying 222, that means I'm vibing at a 222 and I need to eat, my spirit is hungry for a higher number. So I would go to like a 432 or, higher than those. As I see the numbers now, I know 44, any denomination with four is Archangel Michael for me. My date of birth is 4/4. So I know that I'm being protected from something when I see the fours. Four is also structure and stability. I call it the legs on the table. That's structure. That's balance. So yes, definitely the numbers mean something. It's something as simple as you're downloading from spirit when you see these numbers.
And we are back. Everybody here? Please say something in the chat room if you're there. I'm going to try and invite Mrs. Scientific right back. Sorry about that. Oh, there you go.
Oh, over
Oh, I'm not sure what happened there.
there.
You were, I'm not sure of the last thing that you said before you went out completely. You was explaining about 444, I believe.
Yes. So I understand now that these numbers, you see them, this is spirit contacting you, this is them reaching you, they're telling you you're about to download some information. So you should be paying attention to your surroundings, paying attention to what you're seeing, what you're hearing, because oftentimes we miss a communication from spirit. You'll get the ringing in the ear. That's straight download from spirit.
Yes, that happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully that answers the question that was asked in the chat room. So, something you said earlier brings me to this question. And how do you feel about malevolent work?
I do not practice dark. Someone asked me the other day, Teresa, do you practice black? Do you practice black magic? Do you practice anything sinister, any dark? I say this, I don't, but I can and I will. But that has time now. Don't fuck with me and I won't fuck with you.
I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what's going on
And
today. I don't get it. Um, did you hear my last question?
oh, it just told me you left the call again. I
Oh, I'm here.
though.
Say that again.
I see you though.
Okay. All right. What make you go to malevolent work or
Um,
karma?
it takes a lot for someone to push me. I do not want karmic backlash. I am a mother. I own a car. You know, I don't want. I just don't want to deal with the karmic residue. You know,
Okay.
and my mouth is very venomous, and it doesn't take much to piss me off. And so I'm learning to curb my tongue because the poison that I can spit, it will go where I send it. And so I have to be very mindful of that. And I want to say this: just because some if somebody does something to you and you just immediately want to give it back to them, just because something hasn't happened to you yet doesn't mean it's not coming. So I'm very mindful of that type of energy. I don't want to put energy out where, there's something that could come back to follow my children specifically. I have daughters, you know, but
Absolutely.
I have survived 11 car accidents, and I wonder how many of those car accidents have to do with my mouth. So before I was
Hmm.
about, you know, karma and that type of energy. So I'm very, very careful with what I do. I never choose to practice anything. That's it's not.
Okay. Great answer. All right. We have another question in the chat room. Julie asks, "What attracted you to learning crystal Reiki instead of other types of Reiki?"
Um, I love crystals. I'm attracted to everything sparkly. I'm a girly girl, Julie. You already know this. But I've learned that crystals talk. Crystals have a voice, and I I just became very attracted to finding out what the stories were behind certain stones and knowing that there is healing that can come from these minerals. They are pure, they're from the earth, especially the raw minerals. So I've just always been kind of pulled to them. And Julie, you know where we're from. This is Julie, the Julie I think it is.
It is. It
Uh,
is.
you know where we're from. And Julie harvest. She's a master at harvesting natural straight out of the yard. So yeah, she knows why we do this.
Okay. You have
I,
one of these?
I do. I have the spiral. It looks like a unicorn horn. I have the wand. I have a writing selenite wand as well. And then I have pieces I wear on my chain.
Oh, so you're wearing it also.
So what I have here is shungite on copper and
Hmm.
clear crystal quartz, and then I have color changing garnet. That's my signature.
Okay. And I use shungite to alkalize my water. That's what I
Yeah,
use shungite.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what made you pick your name again? Can you explain that again?
Pick which one?
Your name,
My name.
Mrs. Yeah.
Oh, my name. I'm not ready to get rid of my name yet. My name was made by my his. He is a tattoo artist. He's very well known in Europe, and his name is Tony Scientific. And I branched off from his name. He gave me this name as Mrs. Scientific. So that's my handle on Instagram, and it's I am Mrs. Scientific, and that's who I am. I'm very scientific with what I do. I read, I study, I research, and then I practice. So I'm attached to that name.
You said you read and you research. How much of your time is spent doing just that?
I do a lot of reading. Right now, I have taken a little break from reading. I've started kind of going back to reading all of my manuals for my tarot decks. There are so many decks. There's just so much that we miss when we just you pull the plastic off. You drop the cards and you just want to see what's in the box. And sometimes we just skim or scan over the book. Each person that has created a deck, they've taken their time to create a booklet for it. And
Mhm.
if you're like me, I'm an Aries. I run. I'm like, yeah, in the book. Let me just drop this
Mhm.
card. But I'm going back now. I'm reading my books. But again, it doesn't take much. You read the manual once or twice, you put it away, I put the box away, and then I connect the card. But I read a lot about checkmate aspect music.
Okay. It took me a minute before I learned to read the tarot the way that I do. Uh, so in the beginning, I had to read the books along with the tarot.
Yeah.
So it took me. I have at least 6 decks now, so it took me a minute where I could just read right off the top of my head, when I download the information. So I always encourage people to use the book first. So with that said, how long exactly did it take you to learn the tarot the way you read?
The way I read it now, because I started off with the Spanish deck, I learned by imitating this woman that taught me. There was no manual because these are playing cards. This is like actual playing card deck. So we had to learn what the suits meant and what the symbols were, the colors meant. But when I decided I wanted to do Rider Waite, it took me a minute because you have to study, the Rider Waite is 78 cards. You have two decks in one. So you have the
Mm,
minors and you have the majors. The majors, the first 22 in the deck are your major arcana. And those are the spiritual lessons that cannot change. So when you're putting cards to your client, when you see majors on the table, there's no bending that energy. It is so. Life, birth, death, power, all these things, those are going to happen. The minors, the 56 minors, these are the people that you meet on your journey. These are the experiences that you're going to have. That energy you can bend and you can manipulate time and you can kind of remove yourself. It's like water. You can move it around, but water just is.
mm.
Put water on the floor, it is. Your shit out. But
One of my favorite decks also,
yes,
the Thought deck. Very advanced, complex deck, but once you learn how to read it,
yes.
it is the bomb. Um, okay, so
So with tarot, I got a legal pad and I went card by card every day. I pulled one card and I wrote everything I saw in the card. I studied the number, I studied the symbols, I studied the colors. And you want to also study what's happening in the card. Why is this person looking the way that he's looking? What does the
mm,
number nine mean in tarot? So when you get into this, then now you have to learn the tree of life, and then you have to learn all the Sephiroth on the tree. It takes you to another place. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's never just tarot. It's now you have to learn all these other pieces.
right, right. So
So
how important is knowing the elements? Do you think?
you
Uh,
have to know. You cannot have a client sitting there and you have a queen of cups on the table and you're just like, oh well, this is a mature woman and then no, you have to know why is she seated. She's on a throne. She has the most elaborate of the cups in the deck. So that tells you what? Oh, this is a head bitch right here. She's in, this is pure water, and water in tarot is all intuition. It's dreams. It's a connection to Neptune. Do you know about Neptune's connection? You know what I mean?
right,
So there's a lot. You have to learn what does a cup mean. What does a wand mean? What does a sword mean? And then, okay, so a sword is what? A sword is air.
yeah.
And then air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Aquarians, shout out to all the Aquarians. They are the smart ones in the zodiac. They're the straight.
Uh, I beg your pardon, Virgo.
Oh, that's right, Virgo. That's right.
I'm just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah.
You have a radio show, is that correct?
Yes, I'm a co-host every Tuesday evening from 9 to 11. It is called the Old School Bruja Show. And this is talking about the ways of the old school Bruja. Bruja in Spanish means witch. And I am so privileged to be with Lynette Caban. She is psychic medium. She is Baltimore's Bruja. and she brought me on as her co-host. We have another host as well, Chanel Britton, and we chop it up every Tuesday from 9 to 11. It's on Be Exposed Radio, and that link, you can go to their actual website to tune in.
You there? The technical difficulties.
Um, Free is no longer today. Can we stop?
Yeah, we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop here. We're gonna try another day. It is cold, wet, and rainy here in Texas, so that might be it. I
Yes.
do apologize to anyone who is looking. I apologize to you. But if you wouldn't mind, I would like to bring you back when conditions are clear. We're not having so many technical difficulties.
Sure. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scientific, we're going to do this again. My name is Magick La Croix of the Magic La Supply Shop, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.